So, without further ado, hello. My name is WriterMaven. I am the host of the Wrestling Receipts podcast. I cover all things Judgment Day, Dom, Liv, Raquel, Finn, JD, now Roxanne, and poor Carlito. Um, the Judgment Day and the team of JD McDonough and Finn Bálor are your new tag team champions. I was not expecting that. I thought they would go a different way, but they got the win. I shouldn't be surprised because what are you doing with New Day in the meantime? Like, they weren't doing anything. I thought Grayson Waller would show up, but he didn't. But it's I'm surprised they went that way, but I'm not surprised they went that way. So it kind of accomplished a lot of things during the night, or for at least during this Judgment Day storyline. And Roxanne is your latest member of the Judgment Day. Um, so Dom really got forced into that vote. I was telling this on the X, like, what do you expect Dom to do? He did bring up Liv. It's not like he automatically voted yes with no hesitation. He wanted to talk to Liv, and I'm kind of I get really annoyed with people that always want to get on Dom when he doesn't do what they expect him to do. Like they really expected him to vote no. Okay, the man has busted ribs. He's in a situation where he was going to probably get outvoted. And if he does vote no, that means Liv loses the championship because right now Roxanne is the stand-in. So what do you expect Dom to do? Like, how y'all getting pissed off at Dom for voting no? There are two other people that could have voted no, JD and Raquel, and they didn't. Raquel said a no initially, which might have been just a ruse, and I'll get into that later. But there's two other people that can say no. How come nobody gets pissed off at JD for saying yes? How come nobody gets really pissed off at Raquel for eventually saying yes? And then there's Liv herself, who did not say anything against Roxanne joining the Judgment Day when she was there. So there's three people that could have spoke up and said something. I do not get why Dom has always been the one that gets the brunt of people's anger just because he goes against what people think he should do. It's like how people always expected Dom to like do a Canadian destroyer on Roxanne just for being near him. Like, and you can see from the way he looks at Roxanne, he wants nothing of it. He is disgusted. He doesn't want any part of it. So, like what was he supposed to do? He's outnumbered. See, now if Carlito was there, maybe Carlito could give Dom a little bit of assurance, but he's on his own. And yeah, we do want Dom to be strong, but unfortunately, at least now with Liv's injury and this leading into SummerSlam, I think we're going to have to deal with like a more vulnerable looking Dom in the leading into SummerSlam, kind of like how it was last year. And I'll get into that later on why I say that. But yeah, I'm really tired of it's always Dom always having to like do certain things, and if he doesn't, oh, he's turning to get Liv. And then Liv did not get voted out. She is still a part of Judgment Day. And some people were saying that, oh, Liv got replaced. No, she didn't. It's just Roxanne getting voted in so she could represent the Judgment Day with the women's tag team titles. You have to think about it that Dom is still thinking on the behalf of the entire group. The Judgment Day has the men's Raw tag team titles, and they still have the women's tag team titles. It's all the gold. And he's the Intercontinental Championship. He's the champion. It's all gold. If he votes no, those titles go bye-bye, and Judgment Day is out down gold. Gold has always been the goal of the Judgment Day. So people really need to quit it with how they always want to go after Dom when there's other people around that you can be getting after. Like, why isn't nobody going after JD? Like, we know what Finn is trying to do. Why isn't anybody going after JD? Why isn't people calling out Raquel more? Some people do, but it's always laser focused on Dom. And I'm sick to death of it. But I will get into that whole like Judgment Day clubhouse segment later on. And with that said, even though Dom is looking at the looking like a face now when he comes against Finn, I still think Dom's going to be a heel. And I'm going to get into why Dom is going to be a heel just because of how he interacted with AJ Styles and gave us the most hilarious segment of the night, up there with Ludwig Kaiser being El Grande Americano. Um, so I do really think Dom and Liv are going to be heels. Yeah, you might get Liv as a return pop, but the way heels go now in the WWE, I think they're going to keep them as heels. And I'll get into that a little bit too. Um, and then Rhea Ripley is not beating the allegations because what the hell was that with her promo? I had a promo card for Rhea regarding her promo, and I think I might have hit on like a good chunk of all that. So, but Rhea's not beating the allegations just because Iyo offered Rhea the championship opportunity does not mean that she's not Rhea Hogan. And I'm going to push that conversation towards the end because I want to talk about all the Judgment Day stuff first. But I'm just going to say that Iyo had other challengers. Rhea is not the only one. And it's really fucked up that Iyo just grants Rhea. I know Liv is the injured, but it's really fucked up that Rhea gets granted the opportunity and given the opportunity, and Liv had to earn her opportunity. That's why she was going to fight Kyrie 2 weeks ago. So how come Liv has to earn her opportunity? Everybody else got to earn their opportunities for a championship match. But Rhea, oh, we're going to give it to her. Or she's going to cry about it. You see what I mean? But yeah, I'm going to get into that one later too. But, and one more thing before I get into Raw. Why are people upset about Liv not being, or not being tag champ when they didn't want her to be tag champ in the first place? I'm not getting this really wailing and gnashing of teeth. Oh, that's Liv's title. You keep your hands off of it, Roxanne. I thought y'all didn't want Liv to be the tag team champs. Like, what are we doing here? First, y'all were pissed off that Liv was a tag champ. And now that it looks like Liv can be free of that tag team championship when she gets back and get pushed back into the main event, y'all are crying about Roxanne touching her title. Like, make it make sense. And it's the same thing with Raquel. Everybody was all against Raquel. Oh, she's preventing Liv and Dom moments. Oh, Raquel is an ineffective bodyguard. Raquel is not doing anything. Liv and Dom should be free of her. And then as soon as we get this injury, and as soon as it looks like Roxanne and Raquel might be hooking up, and it looks like they are, oh, this Liv and Raquel split is gonna hurt. I thought you didn't want Liv with Raquel. You didn't want Raquel around. Now the split is gonna hurt. Like, to me, if you didn't want Raquel there, you would be celebrating that Raquel is not going to be with Liv anymore. So what is it? You don't want Liv to you didn't want Liv to be in the tag team division, but you're upset about Roxanne having the title in her absence, and you didn't want Raquel to be around Liv all the time, but now y'all are upset about the split that's going to happen between Liv and Raquel. Make it make sense. Like, I really don't get why people are wailing about it. Oh, this split is gonna hurt. It's not gonna really hurt me. I mean, I like Liv and Raquel. I will hurt it. I will hurt for Liv for her character, but will I hurt because of a split? No. I didn't like how Liv got shunted into the tag team division. So now that she's kind of free of it, I'm happy. But I'm not gonna be over here and be like, oh, Roxanne, don't touch Liv's title. Like, what? Anyway, it's just the whole discourse on the X is really weird sometimes when it comes to Liv and Dom. Like, Dom can't win for losing, and then Liv, as soon as it looks like they move into a position where they want her to be, they're whining about what she's coming out of. So it is what it is. So let's get into some of the Raw stuff. So pre-Raw, they released the Survivor Series poster, and I am going to have a fit that Dom is not on that poster. It's kind of like how they didn't have Liv on the SummerSlam poster. And I'm like, how are you not going to have your hometown person, your hometown wrestler, not be on that poster? Dom is from San Diego. Summer Survivor Series is going to be in San Diego. Why is he on the poster? Y'all could have Penta on there and the deadbeat dad Rey Mysterio, and you can get Rhea on every poster under the sun, but you can't have Dom on his own poster for his own hometown? there's still little things that's really annoying. Like Dom can't be on his own poster for his hometown Survivor Series, please. Um, but let's go into Monday Night Raw. We start off with AJ and Dom. Dom is seeing JD and Finn off before their tag team title match, and then here comes AJ. Now this is the most hilarious segment of the night. Um, it beats out Ludwig as El Grande Americano, but this segment between Dom and AJ was hilarious. First, AJ runs up on Dom, and Dom immediately pulls out this doctor's note. And he's like, I have a doctor's note. And it's it's authorized by Scrap Daddy Adam Pierce, and I am injured and I can't compete. And and um and Scrap Daddy says, if you touch me before I'm cleared, you can you can pretty much kiss your Intercontinental Championship opportunity goodbye. And then here comes AJ bringing out his dad glasses, his bifocals. He pulls them out of nowhere. Like, where did you pull these glasses out of nowhere, AJ? He pulls his glasses pulls his glasses out, puts them on with his L'Oreal hair, grabs the doctor's note from Dom, and he's reading it like he's looking for the fine print. And it's so hilarious. And then, Dom is all like, like MC Hammer, you can't touch this. Like, sir. And Dom, the way Dom was holding the doctor's note, it's like he's kind of hiding behind the doctor's note. Like he's using it like somebody's in front of him. So he has the doctor's note and he's holding it like this, and he's kind of hiding behind the doctor's note. You can't touch me. You touch me, you lose your Intercontinental Championship opportunity. And then we got AJ over here looking like the disappointed dad, looking at his son's report card. I saw that on the X. That was hilarious. He's looking like he's looking at his son's report card, and then AJ's like, fine, and then he stalks off, and then Dom is all like doing that whole mumble, like, yeah, you better go up, under his breath, and then here comes AJ running up on Dom again, and then Dom quickly pulls out the doctor note. See, you can't touch me, you can't touch me. It was so hilarious. It's AJ and Dom really worked well in that segment. I want to know the thought process behind that segment, because just the way AJ's pulling out his glasses, looking like a disappointed dad. You got Dom hiding behind the doctor's note. Him saying like MC Hammer, you can't touch this. Like it's it was amazing. It was an amazing segment. It set my night off right. Just because I was worried about Monday Night Raw, and it just set the tone for me on a good note. Um, with this segment, this is why I say Dom is going to stay heelish. Why do I say that he's going to stay heelish? Because this is a heel thing for somebody to do. Compare what Dom did here, hiding behind his doctor's note, compared to Sammy when he got attacked by Karrion Kross later on in the night. Karrion Kross, even with his busted ribs by Karrion, was battling back to work with Penta in the main event of Raw. And so this is why I say Dom's going to stay heel. What Dom did was a heelish move. Like there's no there's no there's no faciousness about this at any point. And the only reason Dom kind of looks face-ish is because of Finn. Finn still looks like a snake. But but when I discuss the tag team title, I'm gonna say that Finn is gonna turn face. And I'm gonna tell you why now. Because after this segment we had Judgment Day versus the New Day. Um, I'm not sure what they got going on with this entrance. It has no energy, and so the crowd is just dead when they come out. It's a cool entrance, but the music needs to change. Like you can't get on the other side anymore, and I get it because that's licensing, and that was Alter Bridge, and that was Edge's thing. I get it, but They need something with a lot more energy. So the crowd was just dead, and I was like feeling really bad. I was like, I'm like, this is not coming off to a good note. So we had Judgment Day versus New Day. It was a good match. Judgment Day worked pretty much as faces in this match. Now, typically when you go heel to heel, somebody usually has to take the face role. But it was interesting on how far they took the face the face role in this match. Like you had JD getting the face and peril type spots. You have Finn having the face and terror spots. They were getting pops for doing their moves. Like Finn was getting a pop for doing the coup de grace, sling blade, all that stuff. It was really nice. Even though it has been a demented demon and a snake, it was just really nice to hear Finn get a really good reaction. I was really happy for him and JD for getting a reaction in that match. Like seriously, I'm really happy. I always say like, you can't really keep going like this as a heel because it's not working. And the minute where they go into a face type role, there's your cheers. That's why I'm saying like I really think Finn is going face. Now, does he pull the rest of the Judgment Day with him? Probably so, because if you split off with Dom and you keep them as heels, you can have Judgment Day or whatever they want to call it, Bullet Club, whatever. You keep them as face. You can keep them as the face faction. It says heels faction, and then Liv Dom can go on their own. But we had a lot of false finishes in this match. And Finn wins it with the pin after he hits the coup de grace. I think was that on Kofi. So Finn and JD win the tag team titles, and then we get the nice shot of Dom coming out to celebrate with them. See, this is why I say Dom is pretty much looking out for the group because that's gold for the Judgment Day. So they come out to celebrate. We get the nice little screen, the Judgment Day, new tag team champs. Dom celebrates, so you got Dom's Intercontinental Championship, and then you have the tag team title. So that's why I was really surprised, and I wasn't really surprised. Yeah, I really think Finn is going to go face. Yeah, Finn is really being a snake now, but there's ways of twisting it where it spins back and Finn becomes face and Judgment Day becomes face. And then after that, Finn and JD run up on Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. Finn suggests that Roxanne replace Liv, or says Raquel has been working hard and that she deserves a partner, and he offers up Roxanne. I have a suggestion to be Roxanne. And then the GMs confer and agree, but Roxanne has to earn it. So Roxanne and Raquel will face a team from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in a fatal four-way match at Evolution. Here, in my notes here, I say here that even with Finn looking snakish here, he's still ensuring gold stays in Judgment Day. Yeah, it benefits him too, but gold is staying in Judgment Day. So, that's that whole thing again. Like you're looking out for the group. This gold stays in Judgment Day when you have Roxanne replace Liv temporarily while she's injured as the tag team champ. Not replace Liv fully, like some people were trying to cry on the internet right now. This is a replacement while Liv is injured. And this is like how Naomi did it when she took out Jade. Um, it was hilarious that the GMs only conferred for about like 10 seconds because they said, "Okay, we're gonna go confer," and I thought they were gonna like confer for like maybe like till on like another segment, and then they just conferred for like 10 seconds. I was like, "What?" Um, and then there's a whole choice of teams to choose from. I have the spoilers about who the SmackDown team is, and I'm gonna save that for the end of the night. But this is gonna be a fatal four-way match at Evolution. Uh-huh. And then we get into the Judgment Day Clubhouse. The Finn finally wants to bring in Roxanne into the Judgment Day. Roxanne already has the tag team title. So, and then peep how Dom is looking at how Roxanne has the title. He's like, that's Liv's title. So you know that Dom was already pretty much against it at this point. Um, Ben wants to take a vote, and Dom wants to delay the vote. He wants to talk to Liv, but he's pretty much getting forced into voting. JD says yes. Now, this is why I say, how come nobody gets after JD for voting yes, and then y'all want to get after Dom for saying yes? And at least with Dom, he mentions Liv. It's like how he was mentioning Liv when Roxanne was brought in the first place. He wants to talk with Liv, but he kind of gets the runaround. It's hard to overrule somebody, especially in that daddy figure like Finn has been for Dom. It's hard to overrule that, especially with other people around you. So he does. It's a tentative yes on Dom. And then here comes Raquel barreling in. Um, and she was like eventually like no, and then like Finn turns it around like, hey, you don't want Liv to lose. Liv will want this. You don't want Liv to lose the channel. And she goes from no to yes. So again, how come you're getting after Raquel for saying no? Yes, eventually. Um, I'm gonna say this. Dom was, like I said in the opener, Dom was in between a rock and a hard place. He's damned if he did or damned if he didn't. Like if he votes no, he's pretty much outnumbered. Even with Raquel, he's pretty much outnumbered, and he has a busted ribs injury. If it's like if they want to play it semi legit, like he's injured and he's pretty much on his own. Voting no would be against the Judgment Day's entrance. Like Finn is pretty much presenting everything as being in the Judgment Day's entrance, like having all the gold, like Dom's Intercontinental Champion. They just won the tag team champions for the men on the Raw side, and the women's tag team championship. So Dom voting no takes those women's tag team titles out of Judgment Day. So if he goes no, he's voting against the Judgment Day's best interest. You see what I mean? So if there was no really good reason for Dom to vote no against Roxanne. And like I said on the X2, Roxanne is pretty much taking the same path like JD did. JD did a lot of stuff to get into Judgment Day, and Roxanne has been pretty much doing that same path, like getting beat up like Rhea and doing some other stuff as well. So she has been doing things for Judgment Day. She hasn't done it for everybody in Judgment Day like Dom and Liv, like unlike what Cole said the other week. But Roxanne has been doing the same path like JD did. So again, it's hard to make a case to say no. It's kind of like how it's hard to make a case for Dom to be all really antagonistic with Roxanne. All Dom does is just be really dry and like really close off about it, where he's not really interacting with her at all. Like I have the best picture of his expression when Roxanne is right there, and you can tell that he is not having it with Roxanne. He doesn't want to be around Roxanne. Like you could just peep his expressions when you look at the Judgment Day segment in the clubhouse. Like he's not having it. Um, and then again, like how did Roxanne get the title in the first place? Like how if Raquel has been holding both titles all this time, how is it that Roxanne got the tag title? And then how are you gonna come in pissed off about it if Roxanne already had the tag title? Like, did she steal it? Like, you would think she would come in like that. Like, Dawn was surprised Roxanne had the tag team title. So if Dawn was surprised, Roxanne should be coming in like, hey, you took that title, but she didn't. And also peep about what Raquel said. Raquel said, you better hold up to your end of the bargain. What is the bargain? Is that a bargain with Finn? Or is it a bargain with Raquel? Curiouser and curiouser. Also, peep that Raquel is saying that Liv is rehabbing like 3 times a day, and that Finn is thinking that Liv will be out for months. So, this is what I think. Finn thinks that Liv will be gone for a long time, which will give him plenty of time to shore up his position with Judgment Day and all that, and freeze her out and whatever. But Raquel is saying that she's already in rehab. So I do expect Liv to be back at SummerSlam. I do not expect her to be back in around the Alabama. That's like waste. That would be like too early, too much. I expect SummerSlam because everything seems like it wants to go down at SummerSlam, and that's pretty much probably how Triple H's plan things now. It's going to be SummerSlam. Um, she'll be back in a non-wrestling role. And it'll catch Finn off guard. Either Liv is going to come back, and because Dom is wise to Finn's game, and they turn on him, or Liv comes back to save Dom. Either way, she's going to probably be back at SummerSlam at the earliest. So yeah, just peep all those little word choices there. And yeah, peep the Dom expression. Like I said, he was not having it. But yeah, that was the Judgment Day Clubhouse. And then now I'm going to talk a little bit about Rhea and Iyo, because I had already gotten like a rumor that Iyo was going to gift or give Rhea this opportunity. Um, and I was like, okay, so you're going to grant Rhea this opportunity when everybody else has to earn it, like I said earlier. And then I'm like, is there no other woman she could have challenged? How come you tease Stephanie McCure with versus Iyo, and how come you tease Asuka with Iyo, and they just bye bye. I mean, at least last week you were teasing a spot with Asuka. Like, how come you couldn't have it like, well, Asuka was the loser at the Queen of the Ring, so she gets this opportunity. I want to give her this opportunity at Evolution. But here we got Iyo granting an opportunity to Rhea. And like I said, Rhea's not beating the allegation. Just because somebody granted you the opportunity doesn't mean that you're still not, they're trying to make it so hard for people to say like she shouldn't be in the title scene. Because people now are going to say, well, Iyo just granted her this opportunity. No, she's still in the title scene. Because and then notice how they cut off her promo and they just had Iyo talking. I'm like, why are you just having Iyo talking? Now Io's getting better with her English, but why is Iyo doing the majority of the promo? You can't trust Rhea for the promo? See what I'm saying? So Rhea is gonna go against Iyo at Evolution. And I'm like, that title is going bye-bye. I do not see Iyo retaining the championship at Evolution. As I said, I've always said, Rhea was going to go into Crown Jewel as the champ, or she was going to win it at Crown Jewel. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They delayed her winning because of the online discourse, and it's just going to swell even more now because people are wise to the game, because Iyo didn't have any title defenses. It's just pretty much the same thing that happened with Liv. It's just that Liv had a few more title defenses before she dropped it back to Rhea. Here, Iyo didn't even have any title defenses. Yeah, Liv was going to do that before she got hurt, but that was only going to be one defense. So not Rhea. So Iyo went from WrestleMania to Evolution with no title defenses, and then she'll just drop it back to Rhea. You know that's coming. And now you got and then you got the wailing and the gnashing of teeth on the X again. Oh, Liv fans, I'm so sorry. I'm like, we warned y'all asses. Same thing with Bianca. We warned you. We warned you that this would happen. And people really want to say, well, Iyo can't really lose the title this way. She's going to retain, and then maybe she'll lose at SummerSlam. No, we thought the exact same thing at the Netflix premiere. We thought that Liv was going to retain, and then she probably might drop it at WrestleMania or something like that. We thought that, and look what happened to us. We looked silly. We were making all these predictions that Liv would retain at the Netflix premiere, and she didn't. So now people are trying to cope and saying, well, Liv will, not Liv, Iyo will retain at Evolution. Nah, she's dropping that title. They'll probably have it as the main event, and she'll win, and then Rhea will get the big pop, and here we go again. And then she's going to proceed to have yet another shitty title reign. Because already right now, Stephanie McCure, if you happen to see the international feed for Raw, she was already talking about Rhea as a challenge, to challenge Rhea. So it's the title is Rhea's. They're already calling it her title, even though Iyo was the champ. So Io's losing that title. But yeah, like I said, she's not beating the allegations. Like, this is why people can be critical of this. Yeah, you can want the title, but people can have the right to want other people in a title, like in the title scene. Like I'm looking at Ivy Nile now. Like I want her to start moving around in the intercontinental scene. I want her to start getting some wins. I would have loved to see Asuka versus Iyo. I would have loved to see Stephanie McCure versus Iyo. There's other women available. Give it to like a Natty. I know people get tired of Natty, but she would have been a nice challenger for Iyo. Give Maxine Dupree an opportunity. Hey, give Kairi Sane an opportunity against Iyo. Do it like a friendly match at Evolution. But no, we got to default back to Rhea. This company, I swear. And then we had the second hilarious bit of the night with El Grande Americano and Chad Gable. So Chad Gable has a legit injury, people. Legit. Like, he's going to have surgery on his shoulder, I think. I'm not sure if it's like the same injury like Liv, but I think he's been working hurt and he has to get surgery. So he's saying goodbye to American Made, and he's telling the brothers, like, listen to Ivy now. So pretty much he's putting the leadership position for American Made on Ivy now, which I think is really cool. Like, hey, he's saying, you got to do well in my absence. I think you'll do great, and you need to listen to Ivy. Senor El Grande Mighty Kaiser. That is hilarious. Um, so Adam Pierce rolls up, Scrap Daddy, and he's, wishing Chad Gable well, like, on his injury. And he's like, oh, I guess we won't be seeing El Grande Americano. And then Chad Gable's like, well, he's busy. And I kind of hoped he was going to say, like, El Grande Americano was on, like, this tour in Mexico or something like that. And I was kind of hoping he was going to say that. But he did. He's like, well, El Grande is going to be busy. And then they all walk, that ends that segment. And then in the background of that segment, you do see Ludwig in the background. We saw him in the background last week when when Penta took out Chad Gable's arm. So we saw Ludwig there. And then at the end of this segment, we saw Ludwig in the background here. I'm like, okay, I was saying, is that Penta or not Penta? Is that Karrion Kross or Ludwig? And I'm like, that looks like Ludwig. And then a couple of segments later, Jackie Redmond is interviewing American Made, and they're asking about him. And then here comes El Grande Americano, who is obviously Ludwig Kaiser. He walks in, he doesn't say nothing, he nods at them, and then he walks off. And then Ivy, Jackie, and the brothers, they're all like open mouth, like shock at El Grande Americano just standing there, and and then Ivy, has to cut off the interview because they have to go see who this person is who is dressing up as El Grande Americano. I was dying because it's so obvious Ludwig, and we were like, it was just funny. Like that's the second funniest segment. We had Dom and AJ, and then we had El Grande Americano, or El Grande Amerikaiser, as Seors puts it here. And it's just hilarious. I would implore y'all to go watch that segment. It should be somewhere on YouTube or WWE socials right now. It's hilarious. So just to wrap things up before going to questions, I feel that Liv Dawn will be healed. Yeah, I know they get cheered, but the way they're acting now, I just really think they're gonna stay heel or heel-ish. Um, Dom has shown no inclination of a face turn. Like, yeah, he looks sympathetic when it's Finn, but every other time when he's away from Finn, he's acting heel. So, I still really feel like he's gonna go stay heel. Finn will have an easier time turning face. Like, all Finn needs to do is go back to his original theme song, and he's set. That's super audience participation. That'll People will probably go back to doing that. It's really easy to remember. So I think Finn will have an easier time on doing it. Finn saying that Liv will be gone for months lets me think that Liv will be back around SummerSlam or sooner than that. We probably will have to deal with of these next few weeks of Dom looking weak or looking kind of on his own and standoffish um, until at least until SummerSlam. And we have to remember that Dom is pretty much on his own right now. So think about have that in the back of your head when you're seeing all these interactions with Judgment Day and things like that, and how he gets put on the spot. Like he's on his own. So it's going to be hard for him to, you can't be really acting defiant right now when the group is moving a certain direction. But that was Raw. I was pretty much okay with it. I went into Raw with really low expectations, and I think we got enough storyline advancement, pretty much, where it's at least something was happening, um, where we weren't just getting the exact same thing. Like I said, I still think Raquel should have gotten that win at Evolution, but that's in the past now, and I can't keep complaining about it because I think it would have made more sense. But now we have Judgment Day with a lot of gold, a lot of all the gold, pretty much. And we'll see how this goes into SummerSlam. We'll see if everybody starts losing it or they retain.